tumultuous world of the young and the restless, Sharon Newman is once again standing on the precipice of personal destruction. Her life, which was once filled with hope, love, and the promise of redemption, has been overshadowed by a series of devastating events. Betrayal, manipulation, and an overwhelming sense of isolation now define her existence, and she is left questioning her place in Genoa City. With her mental health hanging by a thread, Sharon is spiraling into a state of deep despair. And the very people she thought she could rely on are either too distant or too entangled in their own troubles to offer any solace. Sharon is now isolated, abandoned, and betrayed, both by those she loves and by the world around her, as the weight of her guilt and her actions press down on her. It becomes increasingly clear that Sharon's emotional state is deteriorating. The walls are closing in, and the once fiercely independent woman is now drowning in a sea of self-doubt. But what is perhaps most heartbreaking is that Sharon's emotional collapse is happening at the same time as Phyllis Summers is making her own comeback. Phyllis, who had been through her own tumultuous journey, is finally being discharged from the hospital after a partial recovery. Yet, instead of showing empathy for Sharon, Phyllis is single-mindedly focused on reclaiming her reputation. She is consumed with proving herself again in the eyes of Genoa City, especially in the eyes of Nick Newman, whose affections and loyalties remain a key point of contention between the two women. As Phyllis works tirelessly to restore her dignity, Sharon is left in the shadows, feeling increasingly neglected and invisible. The silent suffering of Sharon. It is in this dark moment of emotional isolation that Sharon is struck hardest. She watches as Nick, the man she once loved, turns his attention toward Phyllis. Sharon can't help but feel a deep ache of betrayal in her heart. Nick's caring gestures toward Phyllis, who had once been a threat to their relationship, cut through Sharon like a knife. Sharon had hoped that Nick would be the one to stand by her during her time of need, yet his focus seems to shift more and more toward Phyllis's recovery. To Sharon, this is a painful reminder of how far she has fallen. Alone and vulnerable, Sharon's emotions overwhelm her, and tears begin to fall as she contemplates the harsh reality of her life. How did I get here, she wonders. Once a woman of strength and conviction, she now feels like a shadow of her former self. Her relationship with Nick, though still strong in some ways, has become strained by the distance between them. Sharon knows that Nick cares for her, but she can't help but feel that his loyalty is divided. She is also keenly aware that Phyllis, as much as she has tried to harm her in the past, is now occupying a significant space in Nick's life once more. A promise and a glimmer of hope. In a tender moment of vulnerability, Sharon confides in Nick, seeking the reassurance that he will not abandon her. Nick, understanding the depth of Sharon's pain, pulls her close, and the two share a heartfelt embrace. "I won't leave you, Sharon," he promises, his voice heavy with sincerity. "You've been through so much, and I see you for who you are. You didn't ask for any of this." Nick's words bring a fleeting sense of comfort to Sharon, but the reality of her situation is undeniable. As much as Nick wants to help, he is powerless to shield her from the storms that rage within her and around her. Nick's commitment to Sharon goes beyond love. It's a promise to find justice for the things she's been through. He knows that Sharon is not the villain that some make her out to be. She is merely a victim in a much larger scheme, and Nick is determined to uncover the truth behind the events that have torn her life apart. Deep down, he believes that someone or something has been manipulating Sharon into making decisions that led to her current predicament. The dark figures behind Sharon's downfall. As Nick grapples with his feelings for Sharon and Phyllis, he begins to dig deeper into the mystery of who is truly behind Sharon's downfall. The more he uncovers, the more he realizes that Sharon's situation is far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. He becomes increasingly suspicious of Ian Ward and Jordan Wilde, two shadowy figures whose involvement in the recent chaos surrounding Sharon has raised more questions than answers. Both men have tried and failed to manipulate Sharon into becoming an ally in their schemes, but their failure does not mean they are finished with her. Nick knows that someone, whether Ian, Jordan, or another unseen player, is pulling the strings from behind the scenes. It's clear that Sharon was set up, caught in a web of deception and manipulation. As he vows to protect her and expose the true culprits, Nick begins to take matters into his own hands. He knows that he can't let Sharon suffer in silence any longer. A mysterious observer. One night, as Nick watches Sharon from a distance, something catches his attention. A figure stands just outside the window, watching her in a way that sends a chill down his spine. Who is this man? Why is he so interested in Sharon? Nick's protective instincts flare, and he begins to follow the mysterious figure, determined to uncover the truth. As he tracks the stranger through Genoa City, Nick is unaware that he is stepping into a dangerous game, one that could threaten not only Sharon's life but his own. The man, whose identity remains a mystery, is clearly more than just a casual observer. Nick's decision to pursue him is a risky move, but it is also an act of love and loyalty. If this stranger is connected to the forces that have been tormenting Sharon, then Nick is prepared to do whatever it takes to stop him. But what will Nick uncover as he digs deeper into the hidden plots surrounding Sharon? Will he be able to expose the mastermind behind Sharon's torment before it's too late? A web of lies and betrayals. As the investigation deepens, Nick realizes that the web of lies and betrayals surrounding Sharon is more tangled than he ever imagined. The people closest to her, those she once trusted, have played a role in her downfall, whether knowingly or unknowingly. But the larger conspiracy is much darker than anything Sharon could have anticipated. With each new revelation, Nick becomes more determined to protect Sharon from the forces that threaten to destroy her. But in doing so, he risks everything: his safety, his relationships, and his sense of peace. The stakes are higher than ever before, and Genoa City will never be the same. Nick's pursuit of justice will lead him into the heart of a mystery that could shake the foundations of everything they thought they knew. As for Sharon, she remains in the dark, unaware of the dangers lurking around her. She continues to battle her own demons, and the weight of her emotional isolation is only compounded by the events unfolding around her. Whether she can emerge from this nightmare unscathed, or whether the truth will finally set her free, remains to be seen. The story of Sharon Newman is far from over, and as the pieces fall into place, the truth behind the events that have led to her downfall may be more shocking than anyone could have predicted. In the end, will Sharon find redemption, or will the darkness continue to consume her, no matter how much love and support Nick tries to give her? The only certainty is that the road ahead will be long, painful, and fraught with more danger than Sharon could ever have imagined.